Hello and welcome to the Recursion Cafe, where we play games from the discard pile. In today's video, we're looking at another game that has been officially discontinued, but its legacy has been upheld by the community. It's Android Netrunner, a dystopian cyberpunk world where runners try to hack into a corporation's servers to expose their plans, while the corporation tries to stop them and complete their agendas. If you're new to this game, there will be tutorial links in the description. So I am on the left and I'm playing Andy on the right, who is a lovely man from the Thameside meta and very kindly agreed to film this despite us both being out of practice and him piloting a deck that he didn't build. So I'm playing Zahya, a criminal with a 40 deck size who can gain money once a turn whenever she runs HQ or R&D depending on the cards she accessed. And Andy is playing the Outfit, a Wayland subsidiary with 45 deck size. And the outfit gains 3 credits whenever it takes at least 1 bad publicity, so it doesn't really care what the media thinks and will profit from doing illicit things for the most part. So it's currently a brand new meta. The Automata Initiative has only been out a couple weeks here in London, and we're still broadly exploring the themes and the new combinations that set gives us. You tend to want to be careful when running against the outfit because you never know if it might be a kill deck or a risk shooter deck or a fast advanced deck. Thankfully, hard-hitting use has rotated out of the meta, so that means most people, especially criminals, can run a little bit easier in the early game against them, but you still got to be careful. So turn 1, and he goes install, and take a credit. So he's on 6, no too big to fail just yet. I will click 1 Bravado into HQ, let's just see what we're working with. I mean, I said I had to be careful, but I don't think the outfit has many direct net damage or kill cards straight up, so we'll head straight into a border control that will fire. The run will end and Andy will gain 1 credit back for there being 1 ice on that server. And now we'll get to 8, so I think everyone's reasonably happy. So now I notice Andy only has 3 credits left, and so I'll make his eye. It is unlikely that there's a piece of ice there that he's willing to res to go in a 0. So, and there we see it's a trebuchet, so yeah, no res there. And we'll see 3 cards off the top. It's 2, and that's 3, and it doesn't look like there's any agendas. I will, however, trigger Zahya's ability to get 3 credits because I access 3 cards from R&D or HQ. It's a very handy ability. 3rd and 4th click, I will install and use Dr. Nuka, who is basically a diesel on a stick, and draw 3 cards for that 1-click ability on her. So Andy will install Advance, and score a hostile takeover, gaining 10 credits with the ability and not caring about the bad publicity until later. That's a later problem. So now he's got plenty of money, but still only the 1 ice on each central server, so that's not so bad for me. I will sure gamble and go to being briefly richer than the corp before installing Kurupira, which is one of the new programs in Automata Initiative, a barrier breaker that can break low strength barriers and then bypass them eventually. We'll then Bravado into HQ, knowing that we can go through. And he has the option to border control, but since it's not a diversion of funds, I don't think he is going to bother, so that's fine. I'll still get the money from Bravado anyway. So we'll access 1 out of 4, and it's another hostile takeover, so that was a nice pull. We're 1 point to 1 point, and I'll get paid for the Bravado and the HQ access, so we'll go to 13 credits there. There's a lot of odd maths there, but it kind of works, and we'll draw 3 with Dr. Nuka and sit tight. So now I know I can access HQ, and of course Andy will install something in front of it because you've got to plug that hole, especially against criminal. And then we'll go to hedge fund, so up to 14 credits, and a government subsidy up to 19. So he has plenty of money, and I really do have to be careful because something like a trebuchet could ruin my day. We're in that funny period where having nothing on your board as a runner is fine, but having a program that isn't a killer can be a problem. So we'll install a DreamNet for 3, which should provide a lot of value throughout the whole game, and we'll dirty laundry archives because it's open and we know we can get in, so that's 3 credits and a card draw. Seems efficient. So we're on 13 credits with 1 bad publicity, but I'm unlikely to want to run against any face down ice right now until I found my killer. So in the meantime, I'll install a Fermenter, a lovely old art from UK Nationals last year, and we'll sit there and just build, I think. Andy looks like just draw a whole bunch of cards. He played a lot last turn, so he's just refilling his hand and giving himself options. HQ is looking reasonably secure right now, until that happens. There's a Sneedle Beta. Of course, Archives is open, so I'll run into Archives, treat it like an HQ run, and access a card from HQ. So it's 5 cards, could be anything. And there's an Atlas. How very fortunate. So there's 3 points to 1 on my side, and we will get the 1 credit back for the Zahya ability on access. So all in all, very efficient, and we'll sneak door again. We don't know what's in there, so we just find some more information. And we find a big deal. That seems like it's worth getting rid of. It's 3 to trash, and it's 5 influence, but it lets the outfit leverage its money into a lot of advancement counters. And traditionally, it's either to score a 5-3 out of hand, or to over-advance an Atlas a lot, so that they can pull whatever combo pieces they need into hand. So now I know more or less what I'm dealing with. It looks like there's not likely to be so much in the way of tagging and program trashing and kill, but more so fast advance and money. So there's a government subsidy, and the outfit goes up to 24 credits to my 7. I'll install Dr. Nuka II and use the ability to draw 3 more cards. So now I can see a Dirty Laundry sitting in my hand, and it's less useful now. Andy isn't installing any kind of, or creating any remote servers, and it's kind of playing a sort of 10-in style game where it's just icing up central servers and fast advancing out of hand. So with that in mind, I'll install Hermes, and then I'll discard a coup de pillar because I already have one out. And I think the rest of my hand is pretty solid. So Andy will draw a bunch of cards and play a hedge fund and call it a day. That's 28 credits now. So lots of money, not any more ice though. So that's something that's positive for me, you see. For mental will tick up, it's on 4 counters, so that will mean 8 credits if I click to blow it up and get the money. So I'll continue to draw, and we'll mutual favor because we know we're looking for breakers at the moment. We'll go and find Unity, which is our decoder. We're looking a little bit tight on MU right now, but we're not full just yet. We'll install Unity. I did want to try Shibboleth in this build, but I think Unity is just a lot more solid and reliable throughout the whole of the game, rather than really good in the early game and really not that solid in the late game. So there is another hostile takeover, install advance, and scoring another point. That means another bad publicity for me, but it also means 10 credits for the Corp. So now he's on 36 credits, which is a monstrous amount of money. However, we do realize that Hermes triggers, so I will bounce the R&D piece of ice because that gives me a really nice ally to try and punish this. Fermenter ticks up to 10 credits, 5 counters. We are sitting at 3 credits, but we now have an opening, and for successful runs, that's amazing, especially in Zahya. So we will start with the Maker's Eye, accessing 3 cards. We'll see the top card and trash it. It's a Spin Doctor with a bad pub. We'll see another card, and we'll see one more. And this makes me pause because it's an SDS, and now it's time, I think, to get rid of the Sneak Door Beta, opening up memory, and because Archives is ice anyway. So we will steal the SDS, going up to 6 points, which is a pretty nice benchmark to be at, 1 point to win. We'll gain 3 credits back for the accesses from Zahya, and we still have the rest of our turn. We'll pop Fermenter and go up to 14 credits. DreamNet triggers retroactively. We, again, as I said, we haven't played in a while, so it's some triggers are missed here and there. We'll install Common because we got the opportunity to make a successful run, making it cheaper. And now we're fully set up with all 3 breakers. So that feels pretty good. I think Andy hopefully will have drawn more ice and will look to plug that hole. In the meantime, we will Dirty Laundry just for the value, I think. On it, we're going to HQ because we know we can break anything. So it's a Valentine, a new piece of ice. That gives a bad publicity on res unless the corporation can remove a tag. So that's 3 bad pub, although I can't use the 3rd one on this run. So it's a pretty beefy piece of ice, but Unity with its brethren breakers is 5 credits to break the whole thing. So that's 2 bad publicity and 3 credits from my credit pool. And then Border Control is of course 2 credits to break with Coup de Pillar, and it will gain another counter. That new Criminal Fractor really does like low strength barriers. So we will, I think I'd place the counter on later because there's a lot of triggers here. So we'll access 1 card, it's an Audacity, that's good to know. That means the corporation can fast advance out a card or an agenda at the cost of its whole hand. And there it is. So, and he looks like he has a fair amount of ice in hand, and now it's just figuring out what is going to be the most taxing going into R&D and or just the rest of the centrals, to be honest. 2 counters on Coup de Pillar, so 1 more full break of a barrier, and we will have that ability online. There's a double ice of R&D, and he's still on 30 credits, so I have to be wary, I'm only on 9. we will draw 3 cards again with Dr. Nuka, who's been really useful throughout this process, and we'll play Awaken Plant. So that's a really nice multi-access. It does require me to take immediate damage on install because it's like kind of a cybernetic hardware, and I discard a Tread Lightly, which is a shame. I think that was probably the best card in my hand at the time, but such is life. So then we'll Bravado, and it looks like we're going to HQ because we know the variables there. So 3 bad publicity and 2 credits will get me through Valentel, and then 2 more credits will get me through border control. So I should be left on 1 by the end of this, but I will recoup a whole bunch of money from Bravado and from the Zahya ability. So here we are. We also get an access, which is nice. And there's a pivot, which is something I can't do much about, but it's good to know that, and you can just summon a operation or agenda out of his deck. We'll go back up to 9 credits with Bravado. I think I may or may not have missed the Zahya trigger there, but there we go. And we'll get 1 counter on the Wake Implant, which is nice. So Andy looks like he's drawing up for more options. And there's an install on R&D. No install on HQ though, not yet. So 28 credits still can res more or less anything if I decide to go ham on R&D. I've got the 1 Wake Implant, and we've got 3 counters on coup de pierre, so any big barrier should be okay to face check, even just once. So we'll go to Archives, and it's a Trebuchet, so that's 1 more bad publicity. I think a couple of times in this game we might miss the bad publicity trigger on Outfit, just as a heads up if you're watching and you're counting those numbers. So for Carmen it's 6 credits to fully break, which is pretty expensive, but the 3 bad publicity that's live makes that a little bit easier. We access, we see I think 2 Virus and Tucana, nothing particularly of note there. So we will just take some credits and discard a spare Hermes. Now it's Andy's turn to make things happen. He's down to 21 credits, still very rich, but if all those 3 R&D ice are huge, then it might be a problem. Install double advance, and it's a regulatory capture, so now we know why he was taking all the bad pub, because he can advance that out for 2 clicks and score it out of hand, so that's lovely. Hermes will then fire, and I will bounce a piece of ice, or a face down card, and it will be a piece of ice from R&D, and then Andy has to discard one of those cards, so that'll go into Archives. And we'll jailbreak, because there's only 2 pieces of ice, and with 4 bad publicity, all my breakers, and 9 credits in my pool, I feel like I can take on whatever is there. There's another Trebuchet, so that's another bad publicity, so Andy should get the 3 credit discount there. And so there we are, and I think we retroactively get 3 credits from another res. So it's 6 credits to get through that, and it's an envelopment, which has 5 subroutines, 4 of them being end the run. That's pretty hefty for a 1 strength fractor to get through. So I think the right call might be to use the ability, spend 3 counters, and bypass it completely, which feels pretty good. It's a very criminal kind of deal there. So we'll access 3 cards and draw 2 cards from Jailbreak and from DreamNet. So 3 card access, first one nothing, second one nothing looks like, and third one looks like a border control. I think I see 2 border controls on the top of the deck, if I remember correctly, so that's not great. I'll get the 3 credit rebate from Zahya, and then we'll sure gamble to keep our money up, and we'll Jailbreak HQ, because if the agendas aren't on top of the deck, they might be in hand. I think this was perhaps a little bit aggressive, but it also feeds coup de pierre, and it also gets more Wake Implant counters. So ultimately, especially if I have 5 bad publicity that gets me through the first piece of ice for free, it doesn't feel so bad. So 2 credits to get through the board control, and we'll access a pivot. Now at this point, it does have a trash cost, and I think it's worth trashing just to kind of remove some options. So I'll pay the 3 actual money and trash it out of hand. And we'll access a second card, which is Audacity, so we already knew that one. So we know most of HQ, I think, and Andy only has 13 credits, that's still a lot of money, but for the outfit to want to fast advance, especially with something like Big Deal, that might not always be enough. So I'm reasonably happy with the board state at the moment, and it's now down to Andy to get more resources and to keep defending R&D. Envelopment is going to run out of counters at some point, so yeah, there it is. We'll try and plug that hole. There's an install in front of R&D. Almost played a too big to fail, which doesn't quite work. There's another install in front of R&D for 3 credits. And that's it. I think he ran out of clicks there. So we'll laundry HQ just for an access and for weight counters. Actually, no, there's no just about it. There's quite a lot of value in doing this. So we'll access a pivot. The bad pub makes it a lot cheaper, and then of course we'll trigger DreamNet, and we'll get more Kudu pivot counters as well as weight counters. So it's still worth doing. And of course I draw into a Docklands Pass, which would have been nice earlier, but we'll install it anyway. So 10 credits to 8, but we know that Andy has a too big to fail in hand. That will turbocharge his economy, but it'll also add more bad publicity for my runs, which at this point, especially with the full breaker suite, is pretty dangerous. So there we are, too big to fail, up to 16 credits, and I'll get another bad publicity. I think I've run out of bad pub counters at this point, so I have to get some sort of other token. Didn't expect to take that many, to be honest. So there we are. Andy has done a good job of making it difficult to do successful runs, but I will just faceplant in because 6 bad pub will get you places. So that is an app shot, which is a great piece of HQ ice. That's functionally 3 credits to get through because you lose 2 on the subroutine you can't break, 5 for the Valentau and 2 for the border control. So that's 10 credits to get in. And we'll see 2 cards and get 2 credits back. And with the 6 bad pub, that cost only 2 credits, but it did give me another weight counter, another coup here, and a card draw from DreamNet. So the engine is starting to work, which is nice. And there, the envelopment counter should have been gone at the start of the turn, but it's fine. We're just trying to keep track of the board today here. So we'll install a boomerang, some nice cat shen art there, and we'll install it on the trebuchet, which is 6 credits for common to break, so it's pretty expensive. It seems good value to do that. And we'll tread lightly into R&D. Tread lightly, which works really well with Wake Implant to kind of combine those run effects, essentially. So every piece of ice that Andy wants to res is 3 costs extra. So here's a border control, that seems pretty worth it. So it's a 7 cost border control, but the effect is so good on that sure, why not? We get through the border control and then we consider the boomerang, but if Andy decides to fire the border control, then the boomerang will be lost. So I think it's probably time to just break that normally, which is expensive, but I can do it. So Andy will read the wake implant, just to check. We'll get through that. We get to envelopment. We will bypass it with coup de pied, and Andy will border control me to keep me out. So I do keep my boomerang. The tread lightly kind of did its job. Andy is only down to 6 credits. I'm down to 3, but I still have all that bad pub for the next time I want to contest and dig R&D. All the counters still remain awake, so that's really important to know. Over to Andy, who is looking surprisingly low on money for a outfit deck, but criminals are able to kind of pressure that consistently, so that's been fortunate on my end. We'll install and we'll hedge fund. So either that's a really gutsy agenda or it's a spin doctor, so I'm not really greatly worried about that. And we'll jailbreak. So if we get in, we'll be accessing 5 cards from R&D, something like that. And it's a Valentau, so that's another bad pub, but again at this point it will do, anything will do. So we have 4 bad publicity and 5 credits to try to get in to make this work, but the boomerang I think will do work. So it's 5 to get through the Valentau. I think I pay 4 and let Andy get 2 credits, because at this point I don't really mind. We'll boomerang the trebuchet and we'll hit the envelopment. At this point I will pump strength, I think, and break just the end run, and of course envelopment will take itself out. At this point Andy reses the spin doctor as predicted and draw 2 cards and shuffle in some stuff that is not agendas into his deck to try and pad that out. I am holding on to 2 cards to make sure I get my card draw. But yeah, it should be a 5 card dig here with Wake Implant and the jailbreak. Boomerang will be shuffled at some point. And off the top is an Atlas. And that right there is game. So that's 8 points to 4. So there we are. Criminals still have it. I don't really see them much in the meta at the moment. I have very limited experience on JNAT. I think Anox are taking center stage in terms of the value that their cards can give them. And of course, everyone is having a lot of fun trying out the new Shaper Arizona. But it's good to know that criminals still have, or aggressive criminals still have a good game. I refuse to play 4-1-9. But hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm not sure how often I will be coming out with Netrunner content, just because it takes a lot of time to edit all of this together. A lot more so than on Match, which is my regular content. But let me know what you think in the comments below. It'd be great to have some feedback, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. I used to really like watching the commentated content from Andre at the Metropole Grid, so I thought I'd give it a shot and try my hand at it. Thank you for watching, see you next time.